Yelling on the low, the heart keep right up. Took it to the crib and my mama right at. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Freeman, and goddamn, do I like to talk a lot. Today is going to be another exciting adventure of working on stuff because I've got plenty of stuff to work on. Might as well keep killing two birds with one stone. Getting the work done on stuff while live streaming is the absolute best way of going about it because obviously I get stuff done and I get to talk to you guys in the process. Today, we are converting my old person electric scooter, like, you know, an electric wheelchair kind of thing, but it's not a wheelchair, it's a scooter. It's like what an old person would drive around in if you actually went to like somewhere, instead of like a store. If it was somewhere where it involves them needing to walk around a lot, they would sit down on this little electric scooter and ride it around. Same dealio, same difference, does the same things. Instead of it just having a bunch of baskets, it's just a small scooter they just sit and ride around on. Instead, I'm taking the electric engine off of it and I am converting it over to gas powered. Now, there's two reasons I'm going about doing this. One, the electric engine that's on it runs at like 14 or 16 volts, and all I've got is a car battery, and the car battery is not, obviously, it's only 12 volts, and stop barking. Somebody just yelled, hey, outside. I'm going to go look. They're not yelling. Interesting. Anyways, so the electric motor isn't getting supplied with enough power, and I don't, and it's like I've got a massive car battery that's only 12 volts, so it's heavy and it's not supplying enough power, so the electric motor doesn't have enough power to pull you around. And secondly, the electric engine that's on it, if you guys aren't familiar with said devices, any DC motor can be turned into a generator. So I'm going to I already have a couple electric motors that are DC motors that could easily be converted into small generators to begin with, but I am uncertain exactly where they are at. So since I have the electric motor off this one and I don't particularly need it, I'm going to steal it off of this guy, and yeah. So that's our plan for this evening. I understand that not many people are currently here at this current time to understand what I'm doing, so I'm going to have to inevitably re-explain to everybody as they show up, if they show up. It's Friday, for instance, so it should hopefully have a larger group of people watching us tonight. I'd hope so, because people obviously don't have to go to work tomorrow, so that should free up a few people that would normally show up for the streams, but who knows? We don't know for sure, obviously. We just hope that okay, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to take this electric motor part and strip it down so A, I can get the motor off, and B, the oh Lord, I need the chains off of it, I need the motor off of it, and I need it to still stay together as one because this is the front end of the scooter. So, of the scooter. So I can't destroy the actual front end. I just need it to not be what it is. So now actually I've already fortunately unplugged it. You will be able to see more of what I'm doing later on in the video. For now, what I'm doing is all involves me needing to sit on my butt and work on this. So, what was that? So at some point, I will have this taken apart where I can move this chair out of the way and actually work on stuff while the camera and me are, I guess we're visible now and you can see what's going on, but we'll move this chair out of the way and I won't be sitting here talking as much. But this is a this right here, this part that I'm holding is actually the whole entire point of the electric scooter. Now, in theory, the base that I have it on, which you can see the tire right there behind me, the base that this scooter part thing that I'm working on now technically didn't go with that's behind me, but it works, so that's why I use it for this. It had a different frame, but that frame got thrown away because realistically, this whole entire thing right here is all you need. This is the controls. These are the triggers right here. You have your switch right here. You push it up to go forward. You push it back to go backwards. You push it in the middle to make it stop. It's the control panel with the triggers that sit right here. It's screwed down to the top. Then these wires, well, this is the wire that runs to the battery, and this wire right here is the wire that runs to the motor. Those simply run down to the bottom. Right here, you can see this plate that's right here. There's a motor attached to this plate on the other side. There's this plastic shroud that I'm going to have to take off. But there's this electric motor that's underneath of this. There's a chain actually running from the motor to a small shaft, and that small shaft ups the chain size to what I'm assuming is a normal bike chain, that then runs from this break off point up to down to the tire, and then the tire is just one single drive wheel that when you hit the gas it goes forward, and when I'm switching over this frame, I will be able to show it more in detail once I'm done taking this thing apart or whatever. But frame behind me, it drives it. The chain drives it from the back wheel, and the back wheel. And so because of that, where I have to do the placement of the motor, I'm going to have to cut some wood. It's going to be another one of those awesome designed Matt Freeman builds that he uses wood to connect the motor, because I mean, obviously metal would be the all-time best hookup situation, but at the same time, I don't have any scrap metal available to me, and or I can't even make a piece of scrap metal usable at night because it's loud, trying to cut metal, and it's obviously 10 o'clock at night, so people are either sleeping or going to bed soon kind of thing. So I'm just going to put these screws back in, so even though I have the control panel off of it, I can still keep these screws here, so if I ever decide to maybe convert this back into electric in the future or something like that, I'll have it. Plus, I like the fact that I have this control panel that works, because if I ever want to put an electric motor onto something else in the future, I've got the control panel already ready for me. I just got to mount it, and then I already have the whole setup ready to go. So we are simply putting these screws back in. We only got one more left. And then we move to the removal of the shroud, and or then the removal of the motor / chain / wheel / whatever, everything else that has to then be changed. Now, I don't really actually know how this thing comes off. I've never gotten the shroud off myself, but I feel like there's got to be a way it happens, because you can definitely tell it's got a bit of a pivot piece. Maybe it doesn't. You might have to just break the shroud off. Really impressive. Whatever company actually made this bike, that they made this really nice plastic shroud, but the problem is it has rivets, and I'm not going to be able to get these pieces off with these rivets on here. On top of, there are a few of these little like plastic pieces that stick up that prevent you from actually being able to pop the shroud off. So it's like the way they designed it was it goes on this one specific way, and once we put it on there, you can't take it off. So I'm assuming probably back in the day when they made it, it was one of those things where, hey, if it breaks, send it back to us or something like that, or we'll send somebody out to you and we'll repair it for you. But this scooter is probably, I don't even know how old it is. It's old though. It's probably from the 80s, I guess, if I had to truly make a guess. And so obviously there's no repair people that will be able to repair this. In all my years of working with plastic, I know that I totally could use a piece of sandpaper and sand this ABS and it would go down, but it would take a lot longer than if I cut it. And on top of that, this little saw that I'm using to try to cut this isn't working very well because the plastic I'm cutting isn't actually attached to anything, so it moves. It moves as I'm trying to cut it. Now, I'm making small progress with it, but there it is. Boom. Just like that. I'll be honest, out of all the plastics that I've ever worked with, I still to this day, I love the smell of ABS when it's burnt. I mean, it's gross. I hate burning plastic, but the smell of like warm ABS smells so good to me for some reason. Probably because out of all the plastics in the world that there are, ABS has the best smelling plastic when it gets hot compared to everything else that smells like complete and utter shit. Come on. Oh, baby. You know, surprisingly, I thought that was going to be a lot more of a pain in the ass than it actually was. So now we got that loose. Oh, look at that. Cut those little fins off, and this thing pried right up like I figured it would, which is good. Now, in theory, if I go to put this back together, it's never going to actually latch shut because I cut off the top two fins, but I'm not really sure how to fix that anyways. Or I don't really need this is what I'm trying to get to. This part is completely pointless. It just the shroud covers the engine from being exposed to the weather and stuff like that, and or the chain, so that way it keeps the chain and everything a little bit in nicer condition. But like I said, this is all it's all coming off anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. I'm hoping I can use this chain. It's super small, so I'm gonna guess that I'm probably not going to be able to use it, but because the sprocket that I'm using on that back tire is like 3 times the size of this sprocket that's on this big drive sprocket here. Sprocket you can see here on the back. And if you're wondering, I mean, some people out there might be wondering, and some people out there probably don't care, but you wonder why the drive motor has this little chain and it goes and it spins to this part, and then this part has a bike frame or a bike chain on it that then runs to the tire. And if you're wondering why it has 2 different size chains and a center section to like change the amount of like, why wouldn't they just have one chain running from the motor to the tire? And the reason that is because they built this really crappy brake system, which literally it's just a block of metal down here at the end that's circular and spins. And when you reach down here and you hit the brake lever, it pulls this piece of leather. It's literally just a piece of leather that's attached on both ends, and it's hooked up to this wire so that when you pull this, that piece of leather grabs onto that piece of metal and prevents this wheel from spinning. Now, I would never have guessed that leather would do anything, but as you can see, I'm spinning this. You can see the tires slowly moving. If I grab the brake and I go to spin it, it won't move. So apparently, leather is a really good thing to use on metal for brakes. It's obviously very cheap, and it's not really like a brake system you would want to use on something that's very like fast. Obviously this electric motored old person scooter wasn't really ever meant to go fast. So because of that, it is just a simple little it's just a piece of leather, but in any other circumstance, you would definitely not want to be using leather as your main brake. I don't particularly have tables. Kind of sad. It's already 25 minutes in. Actually, it's really only 16 minutes into the stream, and no one's even here to watch. Kind of makes me wonder where everybody could be at. It's Friday night. Did you forget that I live stream Friday night? And it's a couple people that were here last night that are actually here every night said that they would be here tonight, but nobody's here. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Somebody gotta chop in the car. I'm going to, just thinking about it, I'm going to post my live stream to my social medias. Because it's always good to get in the habit of sharing my live streams to my social media so that way people can actually think about it. It's just 10 times easier to share it via the computer than it is to do it on my phone, because when I share it on the computer, at least it has a clickable link that can actually be like, hey, click here to watch my stream, instead of just being like a picture that's like, here, watch my stream, and then people are like, oh, what in the fuck? Oh, interesting. So boom, now we share it to Facebook, so that's good to go. Maybe it will remind some people out there that are Facebook friends with me and also normally watch my streams that, oh yeah, Matt's streaming, maybe I should get on and watch. Or not, who knows? Maybe they just hate me now. Maybe I pissed them off last night or something, and now they're like, well, fuck you, I'm not coming. I guess I'll just set it on the chair for now. I need to get my sockets. Are back here on the dragster that I just simply push to the back corner of the garage for now, because I am not currently working on her. I don't have a motor for her, and until I have a working motor that I can trust to put on it, she can just sit there and do nothing. Doesn't make me particularly happy, but like I said, I can't build something if I don't have a motor. Hi Rachel. I was just saying, I was wondering where everybody was at tonight. I've already been live streamed for like 20 minutes, and you're the first person to show up. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can get this brake loose without using a socket, because that would be so much nicer. But I don't have the correct socket in my wrench, which obviously isn't a big deal. I could always just find the right size, but I do have a crescent wrench, and aka a fits-all, as I like to call it. So I'm going to try to attempt to get it off with this first. Oh, come out. By the looks of it, I'm just possibly fucking it up. So I better just look for the right socket and and set it up that way instead of possibly ruining my scooter. Oh, it's all right, Rachel. I forgive you just this one time. Oh, I found my 50cc motors that I thought I lost, which is really funny being as I have 3 of the same motor, but only one of them works. And but I found the motor and I was like, you know what? I want to put this motor on my electric scooter since the electric scooter doesn't really work right anyways. I mean, in the sense of it doesn't have the power to pull you. I say, screw the electric motor. Let's put on a gasser instead. Oh, fucking perfect. Man, I am getting to the point where I'm like Mike at times, where I can just pretty much guessingly pick the exact right nut or the right socket to go onto the correct nut. See, am I tightening or am I loosening? I don't know. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, these nuts, I guarantee, have probably never come off. They are probably original and no one's ever touched them, so can't really wonder too much why it's rock solid when it doesn't want to, like why it's not coming off. Interesting. Now it's just spinning, which sucks, but I might be able to watch out because I'm setting a heavy ass piece of metal onto a rinky dinky chair that was not meant to, or onto a shoulder or whatever you want to call it. The end of the chair that I can put my cup on, like a cup holder and stuff. It's really not meant for much weight, and I'm putting a lot of weight on it with this electric motorbike thing. Oh, hello, Holly. Yes, I did, Rachel. I literally got in my car, put my seatbelt on, put the car in reverse, went back like 10 feet, stopped, realized I forgot to grab that motor, pulled back up, went and grabbed the motor, and it's actually sitting right there. It's on my motor table. But I need to talk to Mike, which, obviously I'll see him tomorrow, so I'll just ask him tomorrow. But I need to figure out if for sure that the carburetor was the only thing wrong with this motor for him, because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I have my motor that doesn't work because something internally isn't working. And now I have Mike's motor that does work, but his, as what I remember from you guys telling me, his didn't work because of it was a carburetor issue, or at least you thought it was a carburetor issue. So it's like, realistically, my engine has a perfectly good carburetor on it. So if it really is just the carburetor that's causing the problem, then I don't even need to tear the engine apart. I can just put that engine on my mower and put my carburetor on this mower, and it should work perfectly fine. But like I said, I have to ask Mike for sure, because if not, then I will have to take the engine apart to get the part I need. But if not, then I saved myself a whole lot of time and a whole lot of effort on something that I really don't know 100% of what I'm doing anyways. So I got my motor. This helps me out a lot because I can convert this into an electric generator. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it runs on 12 volts, or it runs on 14 volts. So I should be able to make a generator off of this that at least provides me with 14 volts of power, which is awesome, because then I can make some form of wind generator or something like that, and I can set it up so I can charge a car battery or something like that using the wind instead of having to plug my charger in. Just makes life a little bit easier at times. Now the next bolts, by the looks of them, are on the top side instead of the bottom. This little baby chain. Look at this little itty bitty chain. Oh, okay. So it's definitely screwed up then. Which, I mean, that's fine. I can still take it apart. I was just like I said, I didn't remember 100% what he had said for being the reason why it didn't work, and I was just like, man, it would be awesome if it really was just a carburetor, because God, it would be so much easier to swap carburetors and just call it a day. But I can take it apart. Ain't no big thing. Oh yeah, Holly, I was wondering what happened to you last night. It's like you were talking to me, and then I said something about, I wonder if Rachel's still here. I started playing music, and next thing I know, Holly just disappeared, and I was like, huh, that's weird. Holly never said goodbye or nothing. But I totally understand. Like I said, I can't blame you guys for falling asleep when I decided to live stream at such a late time in the evening. That's why I also still been thinking I should switch my live streams over to being 8 or from 9 to 11 instead of 10 to 9. And I was going to switch over sometime this week, but I decided that because I had already gone through, 50% of the week, like by the time Wednesday came around, that I was like, you know what, let's just finish this week off with doing the normal stream times, and then next week I'll switch over and start doing from 9 to 11 and see if that works better for people, or if we can actually maybe attract some new people up in here. Not that I have any issues with you guys that do show up for these streams already, but obviously I'm also doing this to try to grow the channel if I can. And obviously, if more people are going to be able to show up if I live stream from 9 to 11, I'd much rather go the route of trying to do that than keep it with what I have. So I've got the motor and the little drive shaft switcheroo dooder datter thing off, and I just realized that this chain won't come off of this bottom wheel because of the fact that, like a bicycle, it is set up so that you have to remove the tire off of the actual frame of the scooter to get the tire, or to get the chain to come off with it. And oh sweet, oh wait, no, I forgot. So I do remember now how this thing came off, now that it came off on its own, but I totally forgot if this thing could come off or not. And I was like, man, I don't want to have to like drill out a screw or one of these screw out one of these fucking rivets. Not that it really is that big of a deal, but let's see what we got here. So we got, definitely gonna need some wrenches. Just purely exhausted. I get it, Holly. I ain't blaming you. I'll forgive you just this one time, just like I forgave Rachel just this one time. I'll forgive you just this one time. But next time you use that excuse, it doesn't count. Oh man, if this chain was a smidgen bigger, it would slide right over this tire, but of course it isn't. So I am going to have to remove this, which I really don't think I need this chain right now. Trying to see how it, just trying to see if it looks like this chain's actually attached to the rim, which definitely looks like it's the case. Yeah, so the only way I'd be able to get this sprocket off of here is to grind off these welds so it's no longer attached, but I don't really need the sprocket that bad. Well, Holly, actually, I'm not in the same boat as you and Rachel, because I already explained to Rachel earlier this afternoon what I did for my mother for Mother's Day, but I was an amazing son. Thank you very much. So no, for once in my life, I am not. I did not wait till last minute, but in a normal circumstance, yes, I am normally the type of person who waits till the last minute to worry about getting my mom or my dad something for Mother's and or Father's Day. But my mother had a Rachel, what kind of flower was it? I almost called it a lily again, but it's not a lily. It's a something else. It's some kind of flower my mom had. I actually, when I brought it up to my mom again today when I got home, I found out the reason why it was so important to her. But somebody gifted it to my mom as a present when my grandpa died. And she kept this flower for really. Oh, right. It's an orchid. Right. So my mom had this orchid that um that she had kept, but she's not very green thumby and she didn't keep it very well and it ended up dying and she threw it away and she was upset when she threw it away because she really loved the flower, but she killed it. So she was like, I got to get rid of it. And she threw it away, but I knew that it wasn't 100% dead and that I could bring it back to life. So I waited last year when she threw it away. I pulled it out of the trash can and I kept it inside of my room and hid it from her. Yeah, I can show you. It's really not anything special. It's just an old person scooter. But I took the flower and I regrowed it and I got it to the point where the flower was back to life. And then I gave it to my mom like a week ago because it blooms this time of year. So I figured it better to give it to her sooner than later. So I gave my mom a flower that she already had owned, but I brought it back to life. So now it's growing and blooming better than it was the first time she ever had it. This is the scooter frame. It is an old person electric scooter. So it really wasn't meant to go fast or anything like that. But it's like it had a piece of metal or a piece of plastic going across. It had these two massive 14-volt batteries in the bottom of it. The electric motor sat here in the back over top of the tires. If I tip it sideways, you can see it's got this little mount here. And then there's a sprocket on this tire right here that it ran from that electric motor to this, and that's how technically you drove it around when it worked the way it was supposed to. But the batteries were dead, and what they wanted to get brand new batteries was like, yeah, screw that. They wanted like $600 for the two batteries to replace it, and then temporarily I put this front thing on it, this handlebars pretty much, and it had an electric motor attached to the front of it, and it ran this tire here, and but unfortunately this battery or this motor also needed like 14 or 16 volts, and all I had was a 12-volt car battery that's sitting right there, and obviously a 12-volt car battery is not enough voltage, and it was too heavy. So I took the electric motor off of this guy so I can still use it for its pole in the back so it can still be my pivoting turn, my handlebars. But I am now going to convertingly put a 50cc motor on the back of that scooter. I will be working on that here shortly. Once I finish up everything that I'm already doing, I can slide this out the way and get to that. But I will be putting a 50cc motor onto that guy, and then hopefully, I mean, obviously it won't be super fast, and obviously it's not really something I can take down south and take up a hill or anything, because it's not gonna, 50 cc's doesn't really provide enough power to do anything crazy, but it will be something better than what it was. All right, well, nice to meet you, Mr. Roblox. Glad you showed up for what little time you did. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, I'll be honest, like I used to be in your boat when it came to plants. I mean, I for the last few years, I've been growing trees, like actually buying tree seeds and growing trees from seeds. And after you kill like 100 different trees trying to get them to grow, you actually kind of start to learn the kind of things you need to do and stuff like that to get things to work and to grow right. So, I mean, it took definitely a couple of years for me, but now it's to the point where not to be all like, oh, look at me, Mr. Fancy, but now it's to the point where any plant that I put my hands on ends up growing like 10 times better than it did before I got it because I just learned what plants need and what things need. I don't always, obviously, as Rachel can prove, I don't always know what it is I'm trying to grow. Wow, that's crazy because there's these cactuses that are out there that are called Christmas cactuses. And the reason they're called Christmas cactuses is because they grow all year and they only grow their flowers during Christmas, henceforth Christmas cactus. And they grow these beautiful big red flowers and they literally show up like right around the time of Christmas. And I got a Christmas cactus that I bought from CVS Pharmacy 4 years ago, and it went from just being this little tiny cactus to now to the point where it's in a pot like this big and it's like this fucking tall. But it's a thing. You'll get used to it. Obviously, if you killed a cactus, then my biggest thought would be you didn't water it because cactuses can survive with very little maintenance, but as long as you water them at least once a week, they'll stay alive. So I'm assuming you probably forgot to water it a few times. And even though a cactus is designed to store water inside of itself, you obviously apparently waited too long to water it, and it didn't have enough held inside of it. Right? Yeah. See, water is a big thing. That's like food. If you don't eat, you'll eventually die. Just like obviously, if you never feed a plant water, it will eventually die. I really want the weather to warm up a little bit, and I'm gonna build what I call a quote unquote vacation home for my turtle out here in the garage, so that way you guys can, like, I could put them in the background somewhere that you guys can see, and that way you guys can see my little baby turtle playing. Obviously, being as it's like in the 30s and shit at night, these next few nights, it's not really a time for a baby turtle outside. I mean, obviously, he would be outside normally because he's a natural turtle, like an outside turtle. So he would be used to it. But I just, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Ohio went all winter and we got like 3 snowstorms that showed up. And I'm not complaining. I obviously hate the snow, so I'd much rather the snow not be here. But being as we only got like 3 snowstorms the entire year, watching this fluctuant weather of going from nice weather back down to being freezing cold and it snowing all day today is like, it sucks, but it's like we're climbing out. We went down the hill and we went through winter and it wasn't that bad. Now we're on the hill back up, and obviously it kind of sucks right now, but it will go away eventually soon here, and then we will only have nice weather, and we'll only have nice weather for about a whopping 2.5 months, and then it will be cold again, and the snow will be here, and it will be winter all over again, which is just so much fun. Also, to top everything else off on top of that, so I watched last night, I watched Battlestar Galactica up until episode 18 of season 4, and from the season that I have of season 4, it told me there was only 20 episodes. Find out that there's 21 episodes, so I'm missing an episode, which is a bit confusing. And on top of that, for some reason, both 18 and 20 don't work. So now I'm stuck. I'm at the end of us, and now fortunately I've already seen the show, but I'm stuck at the end of the show at the last 3 episodes of the show, and they don't work. to the point where now I can't finish the show because I don't have the episodes. They don't work. So I'm really bummed out about that because obviously I know what happens, but I kind of forget how the ending actually like unfolds. And obviously with the last 3 episodes, it would show me slash, I'd remember, oh yeah, this is how this ends. But I guess we won't be finding out how it ends because I don't have the last 3 working episodes. It's going to be so great too because by the time we're down south, even though it will be warmer out, we can still have like a fire and it won't be like too super warm outside. It'll be like literally perfect for fire weather. But let me think. I'm trying to think now of what I should do next. I'd really like to get that chain off of there. The only reason I want that chain off there is I could possibly crank this motor or this electric motor and I could see if, because here's a little bit of science for you guys if you didn't know about this stuff. A DC motor, a DC electric motor, okay? This is a DC electric motor because it runs off of a battery. It does not work for a motor, an electric motor. It runs off of AC, which is what you plug into your house. It has to be a DC motor, a motor that's run off of a battery. Any DC motor, doesn't matter if it's as small as an RC car or as big as like an electric scooter motor. If you take the DC motor and you turn the sprocket the opposite direction, so like when you turn this guy on, it's got a specific direction it spins to spin up the motor. If you spin it the opposite direction, so the motor's spinning backwards, instead of running off of power, the DC motor will create power off of these lines. So if you put this motor, attach it to somewhere, even just put a hand crank on it, crank it backwards, you can get this motor to provide you with the 14 volts that normally would need to run, but it will provide you with 14 volts. That's how you make things like windmills and water turbines and different versions of like generators. Electric generators are literally just DC motors spinning backwards. That's all they are. So I know you guys watching currently don't really build anything like that to really care, but it's still something cool because if you have your chance to get something like this kind of motor for free, you can always build yourself something that provides power. Now, you probably wouldn't want to connect these wires straight up to a car battery to charge it because there's no protectiveness. So if this spins too fast and provides you with more power than what the battery is able to handle, you could blow the battery up and or like just kill the battery in general. So it's better to put like some form of transistor between the two. But um, yeah, I know a lot about electricity, electricity and electrical stuff, I should say. But that's honest to God how they do it. If you ever see somebody, even those massive wind turbine generators that are in like out in the West Coast, in like wind farms and stuff like that, even though they're obviously massive motors, those are DC motors. If you put power to those motors, they would actually spin like a normal fan, but they spin backwards and they produce power. It's just the beauty. It's actually because of magnets. The motor is a magnetic motor, and it's got two magnets to sit one set of magnets on the inside, one set of magnets on the outside, and as this spins, it creates a magnetic field on the outside, and that's what creates power. One of those things. I learned this many years ago when trying to build my own wind turbine, but the cigarette went out. I had to use my huffy puffy power to bring it back to life. But yeah, you know, Trying to think now, what would be my best case scenarios? Now I obviously have my voltmeter laying somewhere here. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of only in a lullaby. Oh man, it's so sad too. Did you guys? Okay, so you guys, I'm sure you guys have heard that song. Being as it is the song that they sing inside of Holly. I totally get what you're saying because I myself have yelled and said this to this person just as much, but I really think that nowadays, because of the amount of times that we yell at them, they just don't say anything on purpose because they think it's more funny that we talk about them like that all the time. But I'm in the same boat. I would think it would be so boring to watch somebody and never say anything. I mean, there are some people I watch that I never say anything to them, but that's because they've got so many people talking in chat that the moment that you say hello in chat, it just disappears because the chat's flying that fast. But being a small channel like this where you actually have the ability to chit chat with people because there's not that many people currently watching and stuff, you would totally think that somebody would want to talk instead of just sit there quietly to their own business. But whatever. Okay, I don't know if I can set this up for you guys to see it. Can this stand? Let me see. Let me see here. I get it to sit here, but can I tip this down enough where you guys can see the screen? Maybe. Maybe. No, I can't. It's being too much of a pain in the ass. And I was just going to show you guys the fact of, as I spin this, the voltage on the voltage meter actually spins up. So proving that what I was saying is actually accurate and I'm not just spitting BS out my ass. That if you spin a DC motor backwards, it actually provides power instead of running on power, which is just cool. Little cool scientific fact for you. But just spinning it by hand in reverse, I'm getting it to the point where it's providing me with about half of a volt, which I know is not really enough to run anything. But that's what I'm just meaning in the sense of I'm just sitting here barely turning this with my hand, and that's able to provide me with half a volt. At least you guys will be able to see the amount that I'm turning this. So you can see how fast my hand's turning. It's really not spinning this very fast, and it's providing me with half a volt. So if you think about it, if I had something on here that would just continuously rotate this at a faster speed, it definitely would easily be able to provide me with, say, probably 8, 12 volts or something like that. Whatever the maximum voltage of the engine running is the maximum voltage that you can have it produce. So if the motor runs at 14 volts off of a 14 volt battery, you can get the motor to run and give you up to 14 volts. But then you also have RPM. So a lot of times it's a 14 volt battery at 2,500 RPMs, which means it runs at 14 volts, but the maximum RPM of the motor is 2,500 RPMs, which means if you want to produce 14 volts, you have to spin the motor at 2,500 revolutions per minute just to get it to provide that. And being as even when the wind blows really fast, it isn't going to blow it at that fast of a speed to get you 14 volts. It's pretty much not very helpful at that point. But I was thinking of wanting to try to build my own Bluetooth speaker, or not even really a Bluetooth speaker, but build my own speaker to the point where I can run, I could carry it around with me and plug my phone into it and it'd work and provide me with power. But the problem is for a nine, this thing runs at 9 volts and it's running at 9 volts continuous because it would normally be plugged into a wall. So if I want 9 volts to work, I could use a 9 volt battery and it would work. But obviously, the more you use it, the more the battery is going to drop in voltage because it's using the battery power. And so eventually, it's not going to be providing 9 volts because the battery is going to start to die and the system's not going to work. But I could possibly run a bunch of 9 volt batteries all connected um in parallel. Now I'm forgetting. I believe it's parallel. Hook all the batteries up in parallel, which means that it will still only provide you with 9 volts, but they're all connected together. So instead of it just being one 9 volt battery, you have, say, 6 9 volt batteries that are all connected as if they were one. So the amount of time that you have 9 volts being provided will last longer than obviously the one single 9 volt battery. But I was thinking if I created something with this where I put a hand crank on it, I could connect this up to whatever I have and I could crank the shit out of it for, say, like a minute, and it would recharge the batteries enough where, it might be able to run for like 10, 15 minutes before you'd have to re-crank it again. It'd be like what you'd call a quote unquote survival radio because of the way it works. So still unsure about that. Still unsure what to do about that. I might see if I can find anything else out there that might be a little bit smaller powered, because 9 volts is pretty hefty amount of power to need to provide constantly. And well, we could stop talking about electrical stuff since nobody's talking in chat. I can obviously tell that I'm boring you guys with knowledge of electrical systems, but it's just something I know a lot about, so I can ramble on about electrical systems for a very long time. Man, it's crazy. It's some nights it's like, what was it, Wednesday night? It felt like the stream took forever. Not in a bad way, but it was like I keep checking the clock and it'd be like 30 minutes had gone by and then 45 minutes had gone by. But now it's to a point where I just looked up at the clock and it's already 11 o'clock, which means that an entire hour of the stream is over. We only have an hour left, which, I mean, it's still an hour, but it's just crazy how sometimes some nights seem like they go by super fucking fast and some nights feel like they drag on and go so slow. Holly, if we were stranded on an island, I guarantee you that I would be the best survivalist you could ever have. Because there was a long time there where survival was my biggest enjoyment, I guess. So I have a bug out kit, like a kit I've pre-made that's filled with stuff. So in the off chance I ever go somewhere that I feel like I might need it, I can have it with me. But on top of that, I definitely have a lot of knowledge on how to build stuff and use stuff inappropriately in the sense of to make it, so that way if I needed it in a survival situation, I would be set. What to do next? I guess the next step is to remove the tire so I can get the chain off of this guy. But I need 2 wrenches that will fit. And I know I've got 1 crescent wrench. And I technically have a big pair of vice grips that would work, but who knows if they really truly will work or not. She's either still here watching and just not talking, or she has disappeared. But hello, Michael. How are you on this fine Friday evening that's probably much warmer for you than it is for us because Ohio's decided to start snowing again. way up on the chimney top. You'll find me. Excuse me. Let's see if we can get this guy to budge because it's never come off before. So there's a slight possibility that it ain't going to budge. Oh, trying to stand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing, but at the same time, I kind of have a shitty angle. Oh, yeah, this thing just slid right off, or I can't say slid off because it's still on, but it's rotating off like butter. Yeah, now I literally broke it loose with my hand, and now it's coming off so easily. I used my fingers just to rotate that thing off. So that's awesome. That came off like a dream. That never happens with anything. And here's the pin. And so because the pin's removed, the tire has now come off. And now I can remove the chain, and I'm going to just temporarily leave the tire off for now. Or here's a spacer that they placed on there, but I'm going to leave the tire off temporarily, but realistically, all we got to do is put that tire back on, and now this guy is completely good to go. I left the brake on there because it's really not that important to me to take it off. It's obviously just a piece of leather because they used a piece of leather as a brake, so it wasn't really anything too big and serious. It's not a big piece of metal that's adding a bunch of weight or anything. It's just a piece of leather. So let's think. I'm trying to think now. Let's see. Wow, 45 for you guys is pretty cold, I bet, because that is definitely cold. I mean, we normally we're kind of used to that coldness, but Ohio had gotten all the way up into the 70s for a couple of days, and now it's supposed to be like 35 degrees tonight, and it snowed all day today. Now, fortunately, the ground was warm enough where it didn't actually stick to the ground. So I'm assuming since Holly's even more south of me in Ohio that it didn't stick for her either. But there's no snow on the ground, but it did snow all day in Ohio. But yeah, I guess Ohio's gonna be cold and shitty for all of this weekend and Monday, and then either, as Rachel was saying, it's either Tuesday it's going to become nice, or Tuesday's the last day that it's going to be shitty, and then it's supposed to warm up because it's not this weekend we're going down south, but it's next weekend we'll be down south, and it's supposed to be really nice when we go down south. So I'm really amped up about that because obviously, fuck this cold shit. Can't complain too much, being as Ohio has been really nice to us during the winter times, only in the sense of the last 2 winters that we've gotten literally next to no snow. So it's like you can't be too mad at Ohio for having bipolar weather because it also hasn't been giving us snow all winter like it normally does. But I'm also still dreading the fucking winter that it decides to let loose again because I remember winters as a kid where, as soon as it snowed one time, it snowed all day, every day, the entire winter, and we had feet on feet of snow for the entire winter. And now we've had 2 winters in a row where we literally only got a couple snowstorms, and that was it. We spent majority of the winter with no snow. It was just cold as fuck. So, happy with the way the weather's been in the winter, but at the same time, I totally also know and understand that eventually it is going to be a shit show again with snow, and I am not looking forward to that. Um, uh, my hands are freezing cold because I've been touching all this metal out here, and naturally it's cold outside, so the metal's cold, but now my hands are freezing. I've turned my heater off a little while ago because of the fact that I was working around this front area here, and with the heater running the way it's set down on the floor, if I don't pay attention, I have my feet too close, it actually I wouldn't say burn, but it starts to melt my shoes. So I decided, like, yeah, I should probably just turn this off for now and not worry about the heater at this current moment, but I could totally turn that bitch back on. No, Michael, we're still stimulus checklists, and both Holly and I have both agreed that we probably will never get it because it hasn't shown up yet. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it coming. I'd love it if it came, but I have the feeling it's not coming. Nope. No, and apparently, from what I heard on the news, apparently they're saying that for the people who haven't received it, they might not even receive their stimulus checks until 2021, which makes no sense to think of. The point of the stimulus check was to provide money now for the people who need it because of being out of work and not having work and stuff like that. And now you're going to tell me that you might not even provide me with that safety net money until next year? It's like, what? Makes no fucking sense. It just proves even more how fucked up our government is. Yeah, and I know that, Michael, or no, I don't know that your dead relatives got yours, but I would understand that because it's the same with me. All my dead grandparents have all received checks in the mail, but nobody sent me, the living person, any money. So I totally would understand that that's how that worked out for you too. Trying to charge my phone up a little bit while it's outside here because it's unfortunately going to freeze to death because it's sitting out. But I love technology nowadays because, like, I went out. I mean, this has maybe been a couple of years ago now, but I went out and bought a power strip. Because power strips are amazing because they obviously turn one plug into like eight. I bought this power strip that was only $10, and it only comes with four plugs on it, which I was a little like, okay, that kind of sucks. Like, I'd like to have more than four, but the only reason it has four on it is because it comes with four USB ports that all provide 5 volts of power for each one too. And when I first bought it, I never used the USB, so I was like, um, I never used the USB ports on it. So for a long time there, I was always like, this is just a total waste to have these. But literally in the last like 2 months, I've been using the USB ports on the yeah, on the plugs, just so that way I could get so I wouldn't have to actually use like a real phone adapter kind of to charge my phone. I could just plug it into the USBs, and it's charged everything. I mean, I got these battery packs from Walmart, which I love because they are 12 milliamp hour batteries. Um, they last for literally, like, if you use them constantly, you can have this running whatever your thing is plugged into this. So like I could plug my phone into this battery pack and this battery pack would keep my phone charged for like 3 days straight because of the size of this battery pack. But I actually bought that one and 4 others, the exact same one, but 4 of these from Walmart. A very good secret to use, which I use all the time. So if you guys have never done it, it would be a smart choice for you guys to check it out. But if you go to the Walmart app and you type in clearance or Clarence, because clearance is the same word as Clarence, the name. So if you type in Clarence into the search bar of Walmart's website or their app, it brings up an entire section of all the things that they have on clearance. And a lot of times they have things like this, like battery packs that are no longer like brand new. Like this battery pack is called a super power bank, and it is super. It runs amazingly. It runs really long time. It's very powerful. But they discontinued this model because they started making other ones. And so all these battery packs were normally $20 brand new by themselves, but but it is but I bought 4 of these for $4 a piece. So I ended up I only ended up paying less than $20 and got 4 of them. And if I would have bought them brand new in the store when they weren't discontinued, they would have cost me $20 for one of them. So it's definitely a smart move to buy things off of Walmart.com when they're on clearance. But yeah, so now I got these massive battery packs, and unfortunately, I took apart 2 of them because that's the reason why I bought a lot of them. Is I bought 2 of them to take apart for some other project of mine, and then I have 2 of them that I actually kept to use as real battery packs. And then I also have these little stick battery packs, which are just same difference. It's just this battery pack. It should say somewhere. Yeah, this is a 1,000. No, this is a 2,000 milliamp hour battery, and that battery pack I showed you was a 12,000. So that one's got 10,000 more than what that little stick does. But I buy those, I charge them up, so that way when I'm out recording stuff on my cameras and my GoPro and stuff like that, I have backup power to be able to charge the camera. Holly, why would you choose to have a phone call in the middle of my stream? Gosh. I always come second in your life, and it's really starting to break my heart a little bit. But puppy's in her cage. It's what that blanket is you see right there. That's currently covering her cage, because as I stay awake and live stream and I talk all night, she just stays awake, and then she sits over there and cries at me the whole time. But always let her out when the stream's over. I always get her out to go to the bathroom. So the last, I don't know, I say like 5 or 6 streams, at the end of the stream, like right at the last 10 minutes of the stream, I get her out and show her to the camera and let her kind of run around a little bit and then I end the stream, and then I take her out to go to the bathroom. So you'll see her in due time, but she's not coming out right now because she's supposed to be sleeping. I've also got a new baby turtle who's tiny. I mean, this big turtle is like this big around. It's just legitimate baby turtle. And it's too cold to bring him outside either, but I'm definitely going to be bringing him out for the stream to show everybody in the stream in the future here once the weather starts warming up, because even though he'd be outside, he's a natural turtle. Like, he was caught outside. He's a baby turtle that was found outside. So, I mean, he would be outside normally anyways, but I don't want to bring him out when it's 35 degrees outside. I eat turtle meat. I mean, I love me some turtle, but I definitely wouldn't raise him to eat him if I caught a turtle and wanted to cook one, I like me some turtle stew, but it's also been a couple years since I've had some, so it makes me a little sad about that. But it's definitely some good ass shit. I mean, I'm a Southern boy. I'm a redneck, so obviously I eat everything. There's only a few animals out there that I've never ate, and it's not to say that I wouldn't eat. It's just I've never ate one before, like a skunk or a raccoon, because um, those are things that people normally don't eat. And then, like I said, I'm not against it. I totally would probably eat one, but I've never had anybody be like, "You want to try some skunk?" But it's not to say it wouldn't happen. And I'm also saying it's not to say that one day I might end up trying to cook a skunk and eat it or something, just for the hell of trying to see what a skunk tastes like. But uh, oh, guess it's time to finally open my second soda pop. I actually had plans, henceforth, even the title of the stream is converting my electric scooter into a gas-powered one. I've got the scooter sat behind me. I was gonna move the chair out of the way so you guys could see it. But I'm definitely gonna have to cut some wood because I don't have any metal currently, and I don't have any money to buy any metal currently. So to make a motor mount, I'm going to have to use wood, which isn't horrible. I mean, it will still hold all the same. It's just made of wood instead of metal. So obviously it's one of those things where it's going to look very redneck when it's done. But um, but it's one of those things where I'm going to have to cut the wood. And now it's to the point where it's already 11:20 and I don't want to get a saw out and start cutting wood being really fucking loud at this time of night. So yeah, Martin showed up twice this week. Earlier in the weeks he showed up, but he's definitely come back. So I didn't kill him. Actually, the night that I was telling all you guys that I thought that I probably killed Martin because I haven't seen him in a long time, he actually showed up the night after that and thought it was really funny of me that I thought I had killed him. But no, he showed up that night, and then he showed up a couple nights later. But he's very he says he's really busy, and I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not blaming him or putting anything against him, being like he's supposed to be here, but he hasn't really been showing up a whole lot like he had been. I love these little 50cc motors. I mean, like, look at this. This is a 50cc pocket bike motor, and this is an entire motor right here. Obviously, this motor can only get you up to about 25 miles per hour, but in realistic standards, 25 miles per hour is still quite a good amount of speed, especially when you talk about putting it on something like an electric scooter that was meant to go 5 miles per hour, and now you're going to add a whole nother 20 mile per hour to that. This thing's going to fly. I forget what here it is. I forget what I did with this baby chain, so I could. Pretty sure this is it. Yeah, it's the same chain, but I don't think it's gonna work because the sprocket is so big that by the time I use it, the chain is only big enough that it would literally just wrap around the sprocket and it would give me no extra to mess with. But now that I think about it, I could maybe figure out how to use this bracket here. Oh no, because interesting. Gonna have to figure out another way to power this. A different way to power this thing. Well, I mean, still same motor, but the problem of is another one of those things where if you've never messed with little 50cc motorbikes or anything like that, they run off of these small chains. So This is a normal bike chain. You know, it's obviously smaller because it came off of the electric scooter. And this is a mini bike chain, so you can definitely see even sitting next to each other, they are completely different in size. This one is like half the width of a normal chain. And unfortunately, this is all I own. This tiny little loop is all I own of the tiny chain. So I wish you could somehow use this big chain on these little sprockets, but obviously these little sprockets are designed to be using little chains, so the teeth won't match up correctly, and so it won't really actually run right, which sucks. But what you gonna do, you know? Got what we got in this world, so I'll have to try to figure out some way of converting this over. I mean, it looks like when I put it on there, it looks like it would actually set decently on here, enough to work, but it's really barely holding on, and I'd be afraid that if I actually tried to build it and use this, that the chain would wobble because the chain's like 3 times the width of the sprocket. So interesting. We'll have to figure out what to do, which pretty much also now completely, besides the fact of having to cut a piece of wood and not wanting to make loud noises tonight, not having a chain that works is also going to add a massive problem. I have a chain outside that would work, but it's completely rusted and rusted in place. So unless I got it out and got it busted loose and then somehow got the rust off of it, then I could probably use it, but probably not going to happen because it's been sitting outside for an entire winter. So it's all rusty, like Rusty Wallace. Yep. So I did 50% of the work getting it all apart, that's all right. At least I got it done. Just sucks in the sense that I really wish now that I had some other way of mounting a tire, which now that I think about it, I wonder what size this front tire is compared to these back tires, because this front tire is a solid plastic tire, so it's, whereas the back tires on the scooter are rubber, this is just a solid plastic tire. But if I could maybe figure out a way to take this shaft off, put this, oh dude, it's the same size. Oh shit. I might rotate out. I might leave one rubber tire in the back, put this big plastic tire in the back, because it runs off of the big chain sprocket. Oh no, but see, then that screws me over because, I don't know. It's gonna have to be thought about for sure, because might be able to just legitimately rotate the tires out, use this big chain because this is the sprocket this chain's supposed to be for anyways, but instead of running this to the motor, because that 50cc motor is built to run off of those little chains, I can use this guy, which this guy was on the electric scooter that converts. You can see the small sprocket on the inside. The small sprocket runs off the same chain that this tire ran off of. So if I connect this like this, guess we'd have to rotate it around so it's set upside down, but regardless of that, still hook it up. If I can get this to work, please, like this. So it's the big sprocket to the little sprocket of the same size. It's got the little sprocket on the top that I could then figure out a mount for the engine and mount the engine down and use the little sprocket to run the big sprocket. I don't know. It seems like a lot of extra work, but if that's what I got to do to get a working motor on that electric scooter, it might just very well be worth to do it just for the shits and giggles of doing it. also, then if I use that for that, then I'll need something else for this electric motor. I don't know. I don't know. It's just so many options in this world. I could do 8 different things, and all really comes down to what one is it that Matt Freeman's going to decide to do. I'm trying to figure out if sprocket's even connected on there. It looks like it's just fucking. Might have this little baby pin in there. If I knock this baby pin out, it might actually allow this sprocket to come off. And then I could attach something else to the motor. But like I said, who knows? Well, too cold tonight, too late. My hands are freezing cold. Let's see what my phone's charging or not. Wow, my phone's charging like crazy. I mean, I plugged it in like 15 minutes ago, but it went from 25% and it's up to 37%, so that ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. Ugh. There's got a whole lot of stuff I gotta do. I've got a motor sitting over here to my right that I gotta take apart to rebuild a lawnmower motor of mine, so that way I have my 48-inch mowing deck again instead of using a push mower that cuts 20 inches. It's actually a 22-inch push mower, and I have a walk behind mower that mows 48 inches. So obviously that is more than double. The one stripe is more than double of would be in the theory of when I push mow. I'd have to push mow once this way, turn around and mow back once this way to get the same stripe that I could do with my walk behind that mows just that 48-inch stripe to begin with. The motor's blown on it, and Mike had an issue with his motor as well, so he took his motor off and replaced it with a new motor, and I have his motor sitting over here so that I can take it apart and get the parts off of his old mower that are still good to put it on my mower and rebuild it, and then obviously have a badass lawnmower again. Yeah, I mean that's for sure. If I could get a mower that worked and was worked and was reliable enough that I could actually do something like that, I'd totally be into doing that. But not having anything but a little baby push mower it's not very professional to be like, I'll come to your yard and mow it, and then you mow it with a push mower. I mean, some spots you have to mow with a push mower, but most people out there, if they are hiring you to mow their yard, they want those nice big stripes. And you can only get those big stripes with a big mower, and since my big mower isn't working, it kind of screws me over. Yeah, so I got that motor sitting over here I got to work on. I've got 350cc motors sitting to my right because I have only one of them works, 2 of them don't work, so I've been using the parts off the 2 that don't work to get the one to continue to work. I mean, it is working, and it doesn't need parts, but I'm just meaning I've got 2 other motors in the off chance that I need parts. I've got 2 motors that I can take those parts off of. Still need a motor for my dragter, my drag tractor. I've got this 125 2-stroke sitting to my left that needs worked on if that's the route I'm going to go with it. But then I have to convert some things on the tractor to be able to have it run from a snowmobile belt to either a chain or a normal lawnmower size belt. And that would take a whole lot of extra bullshit, which I mean, I do have a blown up snowmobile sitting in my yard that I've been using for parts. So I mean, I could get some parts off of that to convert the lawnmower over to be able to run off of a snowmobile belt. But that's going to be a lot of extra work. just got a lot of projects at this point in my life that are things that, they're not important. I wouldn't say that like, oh, I have to get these done. They're things that are I want to get done. So it's not a huge deal that I'm not, but it's just that's where my life usually gets. I start like 8 different projects, and because I don't have a part for this or I don't have what I need for this, I end up stopping working on them. And either I never get back to them, or by the time I get back to them, it's years later and I've forgotten completely what it was that I was doing from the first place. And obviously, if I had money to go out and buy the parts that I need, it'd be one thing, but I don't have any money currently, so I can't worry about running out to Home Depot or Lowe's and spending, $20, $40 on some metal and some gears or whatever it is that I need to be able to convert the stuff over. So I'm just kind of stuck. Just kind of stuck with where I'm at. That's why I keep changing up my projects of what I've been doing. Like I've been working on that drag tractor, but unless I get this 2-stroke motor to work, I'm not going to spend the time to convert it over to run on a snowmobile belt when I don't even know if the engine works enough to worry about converting it over. And the only other motor I got is a 5 horsepower that runs, and I had the 5 horsepower on the drag tractor, but it doesn't go fast. It's got like torque, so it's enough where I could hit the gas and get the mower to do a complete stand up, straight up and down wheelie, but it doesn't have much power besides that. So the moment you full throttle it and take off going straight, your maximum speed's like 20. And even though that sounds kind of fast, I mean, I'm trying to build a drag tractor, and 20 miles per hour is not fast in the drag racing world. So it either needs to run off of this 125 2-stroke that would definitely get it to go probably 45 or 50 miles per hour, which would definitely be fast for a lawnmower or a lawn tractor at that point. Or I still keep bugging and asking Mike if I can have his big motor that he has. And his big motor is I'm not 100% sure on it, but I'm pretty sure it's a 500cc motor, which comes out to being like 25 horsepower. And like I said, that 5 horsepower maybe goes 20 miles per hour. If I put a fucking 25 horsepower motor on this tractor, I guarantee you could probably do the same of like 50 or 60 miles per hour on it, which would be fucking awesome. Scary, but awesome, because you could climb any hill. We could take it down south with us and do hill climbs with it, because it would have the torque and the speed to just fly uphill. It's got big ass knobby tires because it's a tractor. But at the same time, you'd be able to go extremely fast in a straight line, which is what I was trying to build it for. So, just more and more options, more things to think about, more things to plan on. All that exciting stuff. You can see there's 2 air compressors sitting back there. There's actually, well, let me rephrase it. There's a tank and an air compressor right there. And then right there is another tank. Both tanks are the exact same size. They're like 8-gallon tanks, I think, or something like that. And I've currently been so much. Sometimes, I guess I should say, sometimes I try to work on those, but I ended up breaking something that I needed. And of course, yet again, don't have money to replace the part that broke, and I don't have anything else that I could use instead of the part that I had. So until I can worry about that, I'm trying to set it up so I can have that motor, that electric motor right there, runs that pump, and that pump is going to pump up and fill this tank and that red tank up at the same time. It's going to run a little bit longer, but the pump should not overheat. It should be perfectly fine with the amount of time that it will take to pump up those 2 tanks. And then I can build a little shelf over here on the side of my garage and put those tanks into them and leave them there. And so that way, when I fill up the tanks and shut it off, I have 16 gallons of air to use instead of filling up an 8-gallon tank that's just going to have to kick itself back on, refill up, and kick itself back on and refill up. It'll have 16 gallons of continuous air before it needs to come on to refill up. So it should just definitely make it to the point where I'll be able to fill, like some tires. I could pump up like 3 or 4 tires before the tanks would be empty. Or if I need to blow something off, I could actually blow something off for like 10 minutes instead of only being able to do it for like 3 or 4 minutes and before my tank's empty. It's just trying to add more space so I have more air storage space. So that's what both of them guys are there for. Then there's a weed eater sitting on top of that as well that I'm not 100% sure what exactly is wrong with it. I believe that the tanks, or that the weed eater was blowing a lot of white smoke, like the head gasket is fucked up on the motor, and that's why we stopped using it. My dad went out and bought a new weed eater, but realistically, that weed eater was like almost $200, so it's actually a really nice and decent weed eater. So I've been thinking about possibly trying to get that rerunning again and see if I can get it to the point where it's actually working good enough where I can use it again, because even though he went out and bought a more expensive and nicer weed eater, he ended up, I won't say he broke it or he screwed it up, because it still works, but he used it for something that it's meant to do. It's confusing, but you can actually put a saw blade, like a legitimate circular saw blade. You can put a saw blade on your weed eater, and then you can take it and you can use it to cut down branches, or what it's more supposed to realistically be used for is for cutting massive weeds in a field. And so he put the saw blade on our weed eater and has never taken it off. So I've been having to use this piece of shit, like $30 weed eater, to weed eat my yard, and it drives me crazy to have this fucking $400 or $500 weed eater sitting there with a saw blade on it, and I'm stuck using this shitty $30 weed eater that is just a turd. So I want to try to get that weed eater running again. Well, hello, Holly. Good to see you again for the last 20 minutes of this here stream, because the time is flying by this evening. Tomorrow, I'm going with Mike and Rachel to a house in Akron to do a whole bunch of yard work, and it's not just simple yard work. I mean, we're literally going to have to put dirt down. We're going to have to level it. We're going to get giant rolls of sod, which if you don't know what sod is, it's just literally grass that's pre-grown on a field, and they cut it up in these massive strips. And so that way you can just roll these strips of grass out and lay them in your yard, and you can regrow grass that way instead of having to plant a bunch of grass seed and put straw down and stuff. And I guess there's a few trees and or shrubs that need planted, a few things that have to get removed. There's a whole bunch of crap that we need to do at this house. I'm going to get paid for it, so it's the first thing I'm going to do in a long time to make money. So I'm definitely going to be busting my ass tomorrow. So I feel like I'm actually doing what, like I'm deserving of the money. Not exactly sure how much I'm going to get paid, but any amount at this point is going to be helpful. And then on top of that, I need to try to save as much as I can, because obviously when we go down south next weekend, I need to make sure that I have money saved so that I can purchase alcohol slash have money for cigarettes. And but I might record a video of that on my phone tomorrow while we're doing it, because obviously Mike and Rachel will be there in it, and that it will be a vlog of something more exciting going on than me just driving around or me sitting here doing nothing. And then, of course, obviously I was over at Rachel's today, and I actually went over there to get the memory stick for her camera. Yeah, that's true, Michael. That's a very good point. Any money at this point is good money at this point. But I went over to her house to receive the memory card that they had in their camera, so that way I could get the videos that we have already recorded or that they have already recorded off of this card. So that way, by the time we go down south, the card's free, so that we can have plenty of room to record. Um, Probably not going to actually be able to do any night riding, which I'm not really surprised about, but I wasn't really thinking 100% of the fact that there's only going to be one four-wheeler down there that's going to be able to be ridden, and it's going to be the only thing that has a light on it. Everything else that we have, like the go-karts and the three-wheeler and the dirt bikes, obviously don't have headlamps, so we're not going to be able to do any night riding, but realistically, you can't really record very well in the dark, anyways. So night riding's not really like going to be the super easiest. It used to be what we always did all the time, but now we're not really going to be able to. But so we'll probably be doing some day drinking. I mean, fortunately for me, when I go down south, I never drive. Like, I don't drive a car. All I have to do is like drive a four-wheeler or a dirt bike or a three-wheeler or a go-kart or something, and I can do those while drunk. But so fortunately for me, I'll probably be day drinking drunk this not this weekend, but the weekend after that. So just expect that if you see some videos from us down south, that there's probably a high probability that Matt's going to be drunk in the middle of the day during these videos, because since I'm not the one driving the car, I don't have to worry about being drunk in the middle of the day. But definitely should be fun. Definitely a lot of exploration we're going to do. We're going to go explore abandoned houses that are down there, because I mean, we're literally in the middle of nowhere, and there's a lot of houses down there that were built 200 years ago that people don't live in anymore because they're completely run down and have trees and shit growing through them. But even though they're usually on private property and stuff like that, you can sneak onto these properties because nobody knows you're there, and you can go explore these houses, which some places we have explored already, but there are still a few of them that we've seen, but we have yet to actually go into and stuff. So we figured we'd record ourselves doing that. Rachel is going to take her really fancy camera. I'll be taking my fancy camera. I'll also be taking my GoPro, and obviously I also have my phone if I need to record something on that. I am taking the laptop so that Friday, well, I don't know about Friday, but at least that Saturday night of next weekend, we'll be able to live stream while we're down south, which Holly knows about. But in the off chance, Michael, that you're available next Saturday, not this Saturday, not tomorrow, but the next following Saturday, that night we'll be down in southern Ohio, probably drunk, but there'll be four of us. There's me, Mike, Rachel, and a girl that you guys have never met, because I've never even met her. I won't be meeting her until we go down south, and that will be my first time ever meeting her. But she also then will be on stream with us if she really goes. But yeah, it'll just be the four of us drunk, and probably get into a little bit better and deeper conversations, because we got four people there that can elaborately talk about how they feel about stuff, instead of it just being me sitting here chit-chatting by myself. Not to say that I think you guys think I'm boring, because I wouldn't imagine you guys would be watching me if you thought I was boring, but obviously adds a little bit more excitement when you have a couple people sitting here talking instead of just one person sitting here talking. It's actually funny because I got to get up tomorrow morning by 9 o'clock, which I know to some people is like some people are like up before 9 o'clock, which for a long time there with working and everything, I was getting up at 6 in the morning. But now that I haven't been working, I've been staying up super late and not getting up until fucking mid-afternoon. Feel like I'm in high school again, waking up at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But But yeah, it's obviously going to change. Hopefully, shortly, soon here, once Ohio starts really opening back up, I might actually be able to get back to work and start making money again. So obviously, I'll have to start getting up in the morning, but that's no problem. I don't like really being a lazy piece of shit, but being as we have to go tomorrow and then Sunday to go work on this house to do these um, since we got to go tomorrow to do this landscaping yard work for this guy tomorrow in Akron, I have to be up by 9 o'clock so I can leave by 10 o'clock. So it just means it's like, well, instead of falling asleep at 3 or 4 in the morning like I have been, I got to somehow convince myself to go to sleep in like an hour and 10 minutes, or around 2 o'clock or something. So that way it's not, I don't feel like it's impossible to get up at 9 in the morning. I guess realistically, if I got up at 8 o'clock, if I went to bed at 2 and I got up at 8, that's still 6 hours of sleep, and I'm used to running off of like 5 hours. So, um, how's it going, Tommy? It's nice. It's nice to meet you. I don't think we've ever been introduced before. My name's Matt. It's nice to meet you. This beard right here is well, let's see, it's May, so January, February, March, April, May. So yeah, this beard got shaved right before New Year's, so it's about 5 months old at this point. It doesn't take long to grow this massive beard of mine. I'm actually thinking about possibly keeping the beard permanently all summer, even though it's going to be hot and I'm going to be sweating my balls off. I think I might just keep the beard all summer and show you guys what my beard looks like after an entire year, because I have done it before of growing it for an entire year, but it's seriously like down to here, and I love it. I love having a massive beard. Um, yeah, and that's the thing. I've never really, well, thank you for the respect for one thing, but for the second thing, I've never actually truly spent the time to actually groom it. And I know that sounds like bad, but it's obviously, you can tell it's very scraggly, and some of it's longer than it is on other sides and stuff like that. But I've never truly like spent the time to like, trim it down and make it so it's all even. But definitely, it's definitely something I've been thinking a lot more recently about, is actually shaving it and keeping it more, or not shaving it, but trimming it so that way it's actually like uniformly the same length and not having little scraggly long pieces here and there. But I live in Ohio, and you might also live in Ohio, but I'm just meaning I live in Ohio, so it's really cold here right now, and for most of the year it's pretty cold. Um, so having this big bossly beard is actually a really happy blessing, I guess I should call it, because it keeps my face warm. Because then instead of this cold air being able to touch this baby face of mine, I got this nice big burly beard to keep the wind off, which surprisingly enough, it actually does a good job. Like, you don't realize until you grow a big, massive beard and then shave it off, like how much wind is kept off of your face until it's gone. And then you get the slightest breeze and it blows on your chin and you're like, whoa, it's cold. And it's like, that's right. All that hair actually does insulate you enough that it actually does help provide wind protection. Hopefully soon here, I've got a sponsor it's in the works still, even though I've been saying it's been in the works for weeks now, but it's just a matter of once once I finish doing all the stuff that they want me to do, which isn't a ton, but it's still enough that it's still the point where I can't actually rep them as a sponsor this current second, because I haven't finished all the steps that we need to go through together. But I've been having lots of one-on-one conversations with them and stuff, and just learning about what they want me to say and how to go about it. But the sponsor I have is actually for beard products, because of the fact of a guy once popped onto my stream who really enjoyed my beard, and and told me he worked for a company who makes beard products and that they wanted me to sponsor them because he said you have like the perfect beard that would be perfect for representing the company, which was nice because obviously I'm not like big enough on YouTube to actually make money off of anything. So having a company reach out to me and not only tell me I have a badass beard, but they'll also tell me like, hey, we want you to sponsor us with your badass beard was like, hey, it's a humbling feeling. Hey, thank you, Tommy. I really appreciate you, man. You have yourself a good night as well, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you again in the future. For my streams, I live stream every night between 10 and 12 o'clock at night. So, fortunately for you being in Minnesota, the times are a little bit different, but we do it from 10 to 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, I look forward to seeing you again, my friend. Well, and good night to you as well, Michael. I'm actually just about to get my dog out. I literally was just looking at the time and was like, stream's about to be over. I need to get the puppy out. So, if you want to stay just for an extra couple minutes to see the puppy real quick, she's about to get out. But if not, that's all good. We'll see you whenever we see you again, Michael. Oh, it's a sweepy puppy. Hey, baby. Her jump up like, oh my God, yes, I want to come out. Oh, it's a cute puppy. Come here, let me pick you up. Okay, ready? I gotta pick you up. You ready? Oh, you're a big girl. Oh. Look at her eyes. She just woke up. She's like squinty Chinese puppy eyes. Oh, is my puppy just tired? She just woke up. Right, you sleepy puppy, huh? My beautiful baby puppy, who I love so much. Give me a hug. Give me a puppy hug. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. Give me a kiss. You give me a kiss. Thank you. She is my man's best friend, and I love her. She is so adorable, isn't she? I mean, a lot of puppies out there are cute. And I understand, obviously everybody's got a puppy and they're all adorable, but obviously I'm a little biased being as she is my puppy, but I think my puppy is absolutely goddamn gorgeous. Hey, never mind. No, you're good. You're good. Go get some water. God, I saw her drinking something and I freaked out. I yelled at her, but I realized that she's drinking water out of her water bowl. So she ran away from it like, oh shit, I wasn't supposed to do that. But I kind of feel bad because she usually never drinks water very often. And I think that's crazy for a dog for them not to drink water. She really doesn't drink water. You want some water? Hey, Izzy, come here. You want some water, baby? Oh, stretching. Hey, come here. Come over here. Come over here. Hey, you want to go get some water? You want some water? It's over there. You go get it. You was just drinking it. You can go get it. You want some water? Never mind. She's confused. She's like, there's nothing in my cage, man. There's no ball over there. So I was just trying to get you to drink some water. It's all good. But anyways, guys, we are currently approaching 4 minutes until 12 o'clock anyways. Normally, how I would do it is I'd pull out a cigarette and smoke it and end the video. I'd end the video with myself smoking a cigarette, but I just finished one, so there's really no need for me to smoke another cigarette before ending the stream. So I realistically think that even though it's a couple minutes early, I'll just end it now, because it's close to time anyways. Then it allows me to get her out to go to the bathroom and figure out what I'm going to watch and or do before I end up going inside to try to go to bed somewhat early so I can get up early in the morning. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, a like would be much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and keep up with cool, awesome content. If our boy Tommy really did subscribe like he said he did, in the chat, just a few minutes ago, he told me that he subscribed to the channel. If he did, that would put us at 278 subscribers, which would mean that we are only 22 subscribers away from 500. We're so close to we're pushing hard to that 500 subscriber pool. And if you're already part of the channel, you can share the video with Facebook or any social media accounts that you might have to show other people that you enjoy watching my content, and or possibly pull some other cool people in to here to subscribe to help me get to that 500 mark. But my name is Matt Freeman, and I like to talk a lot, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another glorious stream between the times of 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Izzy, come up here. Come here. Come here. Come up here. Come up here. Come here. Turn around. Back up. Come up here. Here we go. Ready? Ready? Say good night. Good night, bye, people. Say bye, people. He's a baby puppies. She's like, I want to go to the bathroom. You got to stop this now. Goodbye, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Sleep well. I'll see you later. Adios. I keep forgetting I got to hit the button twice.